Hi, I'm Doug Howard with Howard Brothers. We're here on a job with a residential customer that wants to top dress his yard. The process that we're going to begin with is we're going to make sure we have all of our sprinkler heads marked. You want to make sure we have all of our valve boxes marked, telephone cables, and also your underground cable, telephone, the shallow lines that are normally easy to hit with an aerator, because we want to make sure all of those utilities and your sprinkler systems are conveniently marked by flag. First thing we're going to do is we're going to scalp the grass. Second step is core aerate. The third step is to bust up our plugs with a slit dethatcher. The fourth step that we're going to do is we're going to put a layer of ammonium nitrate, light layer. We don't want to get too much when we burn the grass, but we'll put a light layer to get it to grow through the river sand. And the last thing we're going to do is spread the top dressing on top. One of the misconceptions is that my yard is too rough. That's what we constantly hear from our customers, that your yard is too rough, I'm not ready to buy a reel mower, and I want to top dress it first. As we drove up today, you saw the condition of this yard. It was very weedy, very rough, and we first had to trim it down. Before we did cut with a true cut to get the tall weed stringers, we had to take a rotary mower and cut the stringers down to get it into a level where the reel mower would work consistently. As you look, as we saw across the yard after it's been cut with a true cut, this yard has not been sanded, it has not been top dressed, so it was probably in the shape of an average yard where a customer would say the contractor's just laid sod and it's been and it's too rough for me to have a reel. The Bermuda grass grows up like a stem of a tree. And a lawnmower, a regular rotary lawnmower, sets on 4 wheels like a chair leg. You have your front wheels and your rear wheels, and everyone's sat in a wobbly chair before where when you fall in a hole or a short leg, that wheel goes down. And when that wheel goes down like a chair and wobbles, your whole 21-inch mower blade will cut a donut into the grass. And that's what causes those swirls of the donuts that people see. When you're cutting with a reel mower, you have a cylinder. As you can see here on the front of this mower, you have a cylinder that is probably in about 8 inches diameter, 7 inches diameter. And also we've got this mower equipped with a roller, a reel roller. The reel roller takes away, now we got 3 weight points. We got the 2 rear wheels and we have 1 weight point across the top, across the front. And on this front weight point, whenever you run over a hole or a divot, the machine does not drop down. The advantage of a reel mower on a rough yard is while you're cutting, when you do hit a hole, that 8-inch cylinder going around in circles will hit a dip, and what it will do, it will leave a slight divot, a little dip in your yard. And aesthetically, you don't notice the dips as bad as you notice the swirls. That's one of the reasons as we look at this yard after it's been cut with a true cut, looking at it with a naked eye, it looks smooth, it looks slick. But when you get over into it, as you're walking into your grass, you can notice slight divots where your reel may be hitting a hole or a ridge or something like that. So that's one of the great advantages of a reel. The other advantage of a true cut reel, the reason we sell true cut and we view true cut as the best reel out there for your choice, is you have your height adjusters up on your handle. And each increment that I raise this up, and each of these holes represents 1/8 at a time. What makes this critical is versus a rotary mower is rotary mowers have 1/2 inch height adjust increments. When you're in the growing season in late June through August, your grass grows at high rate here in Georgia. And to keep up with it, you have to either cut more often or you have to raise your height up. And that's why most people end the season with a very high grass, really high in Bermuda and Georgias. And what happens is whenever you raise your height by cutting weekly, you don't want to get down into the brown, so you bump it up. With a rotary mower, you have to bump up 1/2 inch at a time. So if you start off the season at 1 inch with a rotary mower, By the end of the season, you'll keep bumping it up ½ inch at a time, and by the end of the season, you're up towards 2½ inch, which is too high for Bermuda grass. The advantage of a true cut is by the 1/8 inch height adjust increments. Each of these holes are 1/8 inch in height. So at the beginning of the season, you can start off down around ½ inch, and all the way down. You want to scalp down and get into the ½ inch level. And then this right here is all the way down at the ½ inch and maybe just a little bit below ½ inch right here at this notch. But as you notice, this yard looks very smooth that we just have cut at this level. We're proud to be an Exmark dealer. Exmark is a company that's always on the innovative cutting edge. We're proud of them because they always work with a landscaper in mind. Here is another product in which Exmark is putting their money where their mouth is and continually making the landscape contractor more effective, more productive, and most profitable by coming up with products like this 30-inch zero-turn aerator. One of the advantages to the Exmark, one of the most impressive advantages of this Exmark ride-on aerator is the fact that, number one, you're riding and you're not walking behind a Lawn Air 5 or a walk behind aerator, a Bluebird aerator that you walk behind. You're not being worn out, number one. You don't go home worn completely out from aerating all day. The stamina that you can have on this machine is unbelievable. I'm standing on the back. The platform on the back is very springy, very comfortable, gives you a smooth ride. You'll also see me using the foot engagement to engage the tines. I will depress with a foot engagement while I'm aerating. The tines will go into the ground. When I get to the end of my run to make my turns, I will simply lift up my foot and the tines will raise up, and then I can make my turn without tearing the turf. When I get back on my straight run, ready to engage the tines again, I will simply depress it with a foot control and they will re-engage. Talk about Exmark's new product in their turf division, the 20-inch slicer Cedar. One of the features about the Exmark verticutter Cedar is the fact that it's self-propelled. Most of our dethatching machines that we have out there on the market today, very few of them are self-propelled. They use the tines to pull, and that is a self-propelled action. This machine is actually hydraulically driven. You have a hydraulic forward and a hydraulic reverse. Makes it very easy to maneuver, and again, it's less operator fatigue because it is self-propelled, hydrostat forward, hydrostat reverse. And so that is what makes this machine very productive in the field. It is combined with the drop seeder with a verticutter that gives you slicing action in the turf, and it drops the seed into the trench. Therefore, it gives you an outstanding high rate of germination of your seed. Today, we're not overseeding. We're not using the seed hopper at all. What we have done, we have aerated with the 30-inch stand-on aerator. We have already pulled our plugs. Our resident here at this home is wanting to top dress his yard. And so we're using the slicer Cedar. We're using the verticut action to chop up our plugs after we have already plugged. It does two things. It reduces the hard compacted plugs that we just pulled, helps turn that into more usable soil. As it breaks it up, we can use that too as top dressing the soil that comes out of the plugs. And so we're using the verticutter to actually chop up these plugs, to cut slices, to give us a little extra aeration, gives us a little bit more ground to work with as we top dress the yard. So what we're doing here today is just chopping up these plugs and not using the seed hopper. So it has a twofold purpose, this machine. we're going to apply our top dressing. As you can see, we're going to be using a wheelbarrow to carry our top dressing material. A wheelbarrow will roughly cover an area of a 10 by 10 area. Top dressing material is basically sand mixture with topsoil, other organic materials such as peanut shells, which produce nitrogen, and a lot of these things that will help supplement our grass and our soils with organic type fertilizer. As we have just seen, as we're spreading this right now, we use a 3-foot landscape rake. This helps us to spread it easily, help us to level out our area and fill in our dips and our holes. And it's a relatively easy process. Anyone can do it, and it's not that hard of work. Now that we've got it all dressed out, all we have to do is, next step is water it in. I always recommend water it in with our sprinkler systems, and as we water it in with our sprinkler system, we can control the amount of water that we put on it, because if we have a heavy rain after we top dress, you have to be concerned with water runoff and washing of the material. And so if we can control our moisture with our sprinkler systems, we can get it patted down, and light rain can get the material washed in at our rate of speed before we get washes from runoff. And so this is basically a simple process of top dressing, as you can see what we've done for you here today. And easy job, anyone can do it.